Welcome to your tarot and gypsy card guidance for the upcoming week. If you're interested to find out what you're going to be working with, stay tuned. Before we dive in, let me remind you that you can book personal readings with me on my website. This is a good way to support my channel if you enjoy these videos. It's also a good way to get a personalized reading on your situation. So feel free to check out my website, see if you find anything that seems interesting to you. If you have a hard time choosing a reading type that fits your situation, feel free to email me and I'm going to help you pick it out. All right, in the meantime, please subscribe, leave comments, and like this video. That also helps. Okay, so as we always do, we are going to start with the Gipsy card guidance. This determines the flow of this reading, determines the theme, the central important pattern of the upcoming week. And here we have an interesting one. This one is one of the more abstract cards in the Gipsy deck. And I'm going to attempt to read the title of the card in these different languages that is listed here. Beständigkeit, Stabilität, Constancy, Stalnost, and Constanza. And in Hungarian, it's állandóság. So constancy, permanence, consistency, these are some of the phrases that are potentially capable of portraying the idea that is presented here. So what does it mean to have constancy in your life? There is a certain kind of continuity that exists independent of our efforts. So this is external constancy, I'd guess. That's the changing of the seasons, these natural cycles that occur, the different repeating patterns of your life that you are not in control of, but they happen anyway. And then there's a sense of internal constancy, something that is unchanging within you, regardless of your mood, regardless of external factors, regardless of what is happening in your life. There's something that is permanent and eternal. In the process of meditation and the practice of inquiry, practitioners look for the observer, that segment or that aspect of yourself that has no personal investment in what is happening at the moment, but is nevertheless aware, the recipient, the one who watches things as they happen. So that could be one interpretation of this inner constancy. But let's see what the tarot cards have to say. I'm using the beautiful Fountain Tarot for this reading today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look for constancy on the external front and constancy that exists internally. All right. So in terms of external constancy, we have this 10 of Wands showing up. It's almost as though you're caged in. You're being pulled down by responsibilities and tasks. And what seems to be a typical sign of constancy is a constant battle to stay afloat. And when it comes to internal constancy, we have the Three of Pentacles. So that's a very different kind of card. So what we have here is a pattern of being drained energetically by these compulsively persistent patterns that live on the external side of things. These never-ending errands and tasks that propose a challenge each and every day. And they seem to be endless. So there's a sense of this non-ending battle that can never be won. So the constancy of it when it comes to the external environment seems to be very frustrating, and one that limits your mobility and your agency rather than create an opportunity for gaining more strength. So I think we can all relate to this to a certain degree. We have this fantasy of one day being free of all our obligations, all these little issues that need to be resolved, all these little errands, these bureaucratic processes that we need to partake in. But they are continually regenerated, and there's never an end to them. So I think what this card is trying to convey here is that the type of consistency or constancy that exists external to you is more oppressive than liberating. It's more of a cause for concern and a cause for exhaustion rather than anything else. So in order to liberate yourself from this prison-like structure of constant demands posed on your energetic level, what the tarot is suggesting is that you turn inward and you look for help and support on the inside. Now, this at first glance might seem like an impossibility. And the Three of Pentacles, if you examine this card, you can see that it's not a lonesome effort it portrays and models the results that can be achieved by way of cooperation, by way of teamwork. But in this case, this is a coordinated effort on the inside between different parts of the self. This is synchronicity and harmony between somewhat separate, somewhat autonomous submodalities of the self. And the aim is to be productive. So how do you reach this level of integrity? How do you reconcile these different parts of yourself that are tortured by an external reality that constantly suppresses and controls the spirit? So what do you do to create synergy within, to reach a level of constancy that is resilient and is capable of withstanding the ebbs and flows of life? So let's see. One obvious explanation, or rather suggestion here by the tarot, is that it takes work. It takes effort. The practice of self-remembering. If you've heard about this mystic called Gurdjieff and his disciple Ouspensky, who was a Russian mathematician. Ouspensky wrote a book called The Fourth Way about this practice of self-remembering. And the point of the book, I've read it a long time ago, so I don't quite remember every detail, but the message of the book is that man is robotic and is divided into many singular parts that do not communicate with one another. And functioning in society requires that you go through life as an automaton, only half awake. And most people are in a state of slumber. Even if they seem to be awake, they are programmed and controlled by these urges that emerge spontaneously. So there's no control. And there's always these momentary versions or alters of the self that demand attention. And so there's this fragmentation of action and thought that that derives from the lack of awareness. So hence, self-remembering is a technique to counter this process of fragmentation, and to remind yourself that you are the observer, to connect with that ancient part of you that is aware. So, what is the advice here? And so here comes the King of Cups. The King of Cups, or the King of Water, is the card of careful consideration of emotions and a skillful exploration of what could be done to tame this oceanic, turbulent, stormy environment. It's the intention to rule this unruly turmoil, to try and regulate emotions as they arise, as they come and go, and as they take a hold of you and start to take over. The King of Cups jumps in and puts things into perspective. So what seems to be readily important is that you invert your energies, that you withdraw from this battle which cannot ever be won, and that you instead focus your energies on internal work and the creation of internal constancy. It's much more important that you become one on the inside than to live up to every expectation that the external world imposes upon you. Bottom line is, this is a war which will never end. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading. Let me know what you think in the comments. And see you next time.